Hey guys, happy 2017, happy New Year's. It's been quite a while since I've been here. The last time you saw me was back in 2016. So, to start off the new year, my first review is the continuation of All Out, and we come out with episode 13 this week. This week's episode, I'm glad it's there because we've gone 2 weeks without a new episode. Of course, the episode did come out last week, but from what I've understood, like looking around online, I found that the people who usually translate or put the subs for the episode, they didn't translate it. So even in Japan, it looks like they're re-showing this episode again, and then next week we'll get episode 14 and thereon. So this episode was a pretty chill episode. We actually got background information on Sekizan and Hachioji, the captain and co-captain of Jinko's rugby team, and how these two came to be and how they, connected to each other during their first year and how they led up to where we are right now currently. So from this episode, there was at least one thing that really stood out to me, and I did not think it was actually possible due to how he acts currently right now, and that's Sekizan. Now, we all know that he's very much into rugby. He has, you have to have a high IQ for rugby, and he's all about that. But if you consider his character 2 years prior to the storyline, that's the complete opposite. Now, we know Hachioji has been playing rugby, as far as we know, since middle school. Remember, he and Sumiyaki have been in the same middle school together, and they play on the same team. So, for Hachioji going to Jinko's rugby team, he wanted to join the rugby team there. So, he goes there and joins the team. And we all know Jinko's rugby team is not the greatest. From what they told in this episode, is that they always lost in almost every practice match that they have. They have not gone to any championships, and therefore there is no recommendations and no sponsorships for this school because, why would I want to, give out to a team that doesn't even try to put in the effort to win, and they don't win anything. So I wouldn't recommend people to join the team. So the funniest thing was Hachioji, he caught sight of Sekizan on the first day of school. And from there on, he has been interested in Sekizan. So he's been persistently, from day in, day out, every day that he can see Sekizan, to join the rugby team. And you would have thought, okay, instantly, Sekizan would join the rugby team because, it sounds like an interesting sport. We hear it's body contact, great teamwork. It's rough play, but it's a lot of fun. No. None of that interests Sekizan. We actually find out that he was part of the Going Home Club. This guy did not join any club in high school in his first year. He just went to school and went straight home, and he had no interest, zero interest in rugby. And when you think about that from his first year to now, you see the complete contrast in that, because this guy, remember what he said to Ebony, I believe it was episode 3 or 4 when they faced off against Keijo. He's like, you may have a high rugby IQ, but the fact that you don't know how to work with the rest of the team, you're not playing. And he was very serious in that. And then when you see how he always declined Hachioji from joining the rugby team, it's just like, it actually blew my mind, because it's like, this guy has gone through major changes within 2 years. Not only his hairstyle and his physical appearance, but his mentality towards the sport. Now, not only that, he's never played rugby before. He's just like Gion, in the same position where Gion just started rugby in high school in his first year. We come to find out in this episode that Sekizan is terrible at sports. He can't play soccer, he can't play baseball, he can't play basketball. And we also find out that he started rugby in his first year. So it actually adds a layer to him. That's why you can see why he loves rugby so much. That's why he holds it to himself so there, because he found out the fun in rugby. He finds out, the difficulties and all these stuff that makes rugby so unique to him. So it was actually a huge surprise when we come to find out that Sekizan, who would have thought possibly was playing from when he was young, actually was a beginner at the game just 2 years prior to the current timeline. So Hachioji had many plans, many devices, way to join the team, and there was a point where Sekizan nearly joined the team before the end of the episode, and then he come to find out, like, he saw the upperclassmen who was skipping out on practice. And that's the reason why people don't want to sponsor the team, because back then they saw where the upperclassmen did not care for the game. Like, what was the point of you joining the team if you're just going to slack off and go home and not go to practice? And of course, he declined Hachioji. Then we get where Hachioji made it look like, okay, Sekizan got a love letter from a girl, because there was a girl in this episode, and it looks like to be a classmate of Hachioji's, and she gave the love letter to Sekizan, and we thought, oh, Sekizan is about to get a girl, she's going to confess him, she must have loved his wild look, he looked dangerous, but he looks like a good guy, and he comes to find out that it was Hachioji that wrote that letter. He was the one that wrote that, and he was about to tear it up until he saw, what else Hachioji had to say, that, Sekizan has what it takes to be an amazing rugby player. And he goes there to speak. He goes to the field to go speak to the upperclassmen in hopes that possibly he may join the team. And of course, none of the upperclassmen is there. But he finds that the only person that's on the field training in the rain, the weather is terrible, is Hachioji. And from there on, he sees the motivation, the reason why Hachioji is so convinced that Sekizan must join the rugby team, that he will enjoy rugby, because it's not an individual sport like track. It's not a sport where you just are by yourself like sumo. It's a team building. It's an engaging sport, and you will gain so much friendships and so much from this game. And that's what he was trying to tell Sekizan. And Sekizan finally saw where Hachioji was coming from. And from there, he was convinced that, yeah, I'm going to join this team. And Hachioji was the one to teach Sekizan the ropes on how to be a proper rugby player. And then we all leave it up to the rest. And that's the story that happened between these two characters, that they were telling their history of joining the rugby team to Gion and Sumiyaki. Of course, the episode leaves off where they go to train, and now we'll leave up to hopes for them to be hopes for the summer training that they're going to have. And hopefully by the end of the series, we may see them step foot into an official match, because this is a very slow building series, which I actually like, because now they're giving time to uncover the characters, see their reasons for playing rugby. We get to see more into their daily lives, and not just focus on the sport itself. So that's why I really like watching All Out, because it's trying to develop the entire story, not just the sport, but the characters who are involved with the sport and their reasons for playing it. So if you saw this week's episode of All Out, episode 13, and might I add, I really enjoyed the opening. Now, if I had to compare it to the first opening and this current one, the second one, I enjoyed the song of the first opening better. But in terms of animation, the second opening beats the first opening. And the ending songs, I'm kind of... they kind of on the same wavelength for me, but for the openings, I enjoy the visuals of the second opening better than the first one. But the song, that had to go to the first opening. So you can tell me which opening you like better. How do you feel about this week's episode after knowing the history of Sekizan and Hachioji, and what are your hopes for next week's episode? Of course, this is 2017, so there is going to be new anime. So stay tuned for my first anime of 2017, not a continuation, but the first anime of 2017, which will be this Sunday, and that is Gintama, the newest season. So stay tuned for that. The links are in the description box as always, so you guys go check that out. And I'm Kimmy-chan of Anime Legends Podcast, and again, Happy New Year to everyone out there, and I will see you guys later. Bye!